Welcome to the Bodhi Academy. My name is Amisha Plaso, and in today's video we will continue with a chapter of class 7, chapter 3, fiber to fabric. So previously in this chapter we spoke about wool that is obtained from fleece of sheep and yak. Fleece is basically the hair that is present on their body. Fleece also has two types of fibers that are present on it. The upper layer that is present is known as the coarse beard hair, that is a bit on the rougher side, whereas the layer that is there underneath, which is attached to the skin of the animal, is the soft under hair, and this soft under hair is the one that is used to make wool. Then we spoke about the different kinds of wools that are obtained from different goats and sheep, and they are found in different regions. We spoke about the yak wool that is found in Tibet and Ladakh, the Angora wool found from Angora goats in the hilly regions of Jammu and Kashmir, the Kashmiri goat that yields us the wool that is used to make the pashmina shawls. Then we also learned about a term known as selective breeding. So above what we said was we need soft under hair. So in order to receive that, we have to be very specific about the parents that we are going to need for the offspring breeding over here. In that case, we are being very selective so that we get that soft hair that we need for the production of wool. So here we are being very selective about the offspring characteristics that we need. Therefore, it is known as selective breeding. Then we saw about the processing of fibers into wool. It had a few steps starting from shearing, scoring, sorting, removing of burrs, dyeing the fibers, straightening, combing and rolling them into yarn. So today we will continue and will learn about another fiber known as the silk fiber. Now silk fibers are also animal fibers. So they are silkworms are spin into the silk fibers. So the rearing of silkworms for obtaining silk is known as sericulture. So the process for obtaining silk is known as the sericulture. Now, before we discuss the process of obtaining silk, we will look into the history of the silk moth. So, life history of silk moth. The female silk moth, they lay eggs. Now, these eggs then convert to the larvae that is known as the caterpillars or the silkworms. Then they grow in size eventually, and they are at a stage where they are going to go into the next stage, being the pupa. Now, what they do here is that before they enter into the next stage, they begin to weave themselves a net to hold themselves in that. Then what they do is that they swing their head from side to side in the form of a figure like 8. So say they do it in this form. They go on doing it in this figure of 8. Now during these movements of the head, the caterpillar, it secretes fiber made of protein, and this fiber, what happens is that on exposure to air it starts to harden up, and that becomes the silk fiber. Soon the caterpillar completely covers itself by silk fibers and it turns into a pupa. This covering is known as a cocoon. So the covering that it prepares for itself to hold itself of the silk fibers is known as the cocoon. Further development of the pupa into moth continues inside the cocoon. So now rest whatever development of them happens, the next stages that happens inside the cocoon itself. The silk fibers are used for weaving silk cloth. Can you imagine that the soft silk yarn is as strong as comparable thread of steel? So they are saying that soft silk yarn which is obtained, it is very strong and it is as strong as a steel thread. Now the silk yarn, that is the thread, it is obtained from cocoon of the silk moth. That is that when it moves to form the figure 8, that silk fiber that it covers itself in, that itself is the silk yarn. There is a variety of silk moth which look very different from one another, and the silk yarn they yield is different in texture. So now there are different types of silk moths that are present, and the kind of silk they yield is also different depending on their texture, their shine, how smooth they are or how rough they are. In that case also they differ. So thus the tasar silk, muga silk, hosa silk, etc. are obtained from cocoons spun by different types of moths. So now these are examples of different silk. They have different names, which means they are also having different characteristic, texture, shine, everything is going to be different in them, and they are obtained also from different types of moths. So the most common silk moth is the mulberry silk moth. So the silk fiber from the cocoon of this moth is very soft, lustrous and elastic, and can be dyed in beautiful colors. So now out of all of them, the most common one is the mulberry silk moth. So this one is very soft, it is very lustrous, that is it looks very shiny, and also it is elastic, and it can be dyed in various beautiful colors. Sericulture or culture of silkworms is a very old occupation in India. India produces plenty of silk on a commercial scale. So now what they are saying is that sericulture is one of the oldest occupation that is present in India, and India produces a number of silk on a very high commercial scale. That is, it is a big time business in India. Now let's understand the process that happens from cocoon to silk. For obtaining silk, moths are reared and their cocoons are collected to get silk threads. So now rearing the silkworms. A female silk moth lays hundreds of eggs at a time. So look here, it doesn't lay one or two eggs, it lays almost 100 of eggs at one time. The eggs are stored carefully on the strips of cloth or paper and sold to silkworm farmers. So what they do is that once the silk moth it lays eggs, what they do, they carefully place it on a strip of cloth or the paper, and then they sell it to these silkworm farmers who do the further job. The farmers keep eggs under hygienic conditions and under suitable conditions of temperature and humidity. Now these farmers, they take care of the eggs and they give it the suitable conditions that they require. May it be temperature, humidity, hygienic conditions. All these things are provided by the farmer so that the eggs can grow into the next stage. The eggs are warmed to a suitable temperature for the larvae to hatch from its egg. So now they are kept at a very warm temperature so that they can hatch into the larvae or the caterpillar. Now this is done when the mulberry trees bear a fresh crop of leaves. The larvae called caterpillars or silkworm eat day and night and increase enormously in size. So now what they are saying is that when this eggs are going to convert into a larvae, is that when this mulberry tree, it begins to bear a fresh crop of leaves, when it gets new leaves. So what they do is that these larvae, they feed upon these leaves day and night, and they increase enormously in size. They keep on growing. The larvae are kept in clean bamboo trays along with freshly chopped mulberry leaves. So what they do now, that larvae, they keep in clean, like bamboo trays are like, those bamboos are chopped into half, and in that half section they place the larvae inside, and also they give them freshly chopped mulberry leaves. After 25 to 30 days, the caterpillars, they stop eating and move to a tiny chamber of bamboo in the tray to spin cocoons. So after 25 to 30 days, they stop eating. That is the time they are now ready to build their cocoons over there. That cocoon they build up of the silk fibers. Small racks or twigs may be provided in the trays to which cocoons get attached. So what they do is that they maybe like build a grid kind of thing for them. So each one of them goes and attaches to one of them. The caterpillar or the silkworm, they spin the cocoon inside which develops the silk moth. Now processing the silk. A pile of cocoons is used for obtaining silk fibers. The cocoons are kept under the sun or boiled or exposed to steam. Why is this? So that it becomes a little harder. Then the silk fibers are separated out. The process of taking out threads from cocoon for use as silk is called a reeling the silk. So what they do is that next is they take out the threads from the cocoon and use it as silk. That process is known as reeling the silk. Reeling is done in special machines which unwind the threads or fibers of silk from the cocoon. Silk fibers are then spun into silk threads which are worn into silk cloth by weavers. So that is how we get the silk fibers. So that was it for this chapter. So we'll quickly revise what we have done in this chapter. So we begin with silk comes from silkworms and wool is obtained from sheep, goat and yak. Hence silk and wool are the two animal fibers that we have learned in this chapter. The hairs of camel, llama and alpaca are also processed to yield us wool. In India, mostly sheep are reared for getting wool. Sheep hair is sheared off from the body, scored, sorted, dried, dyed, spun and worn to yield wool. So these are the steps involved in processing fiber to wool. Silkworms are caterpillars of silk moth. During their life cycle, the worms spin cocoons of silk fibers, and these cocoons are the one that we use to produce silk. Silk fibers are made up of a protein. Silk fibers from cocoons are separated out and reeled into silk thread. Weavers weave silk threads into the spinal silk cloth. So that was it for this chapter. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the Bodhi Academy.